Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield here in Las Vegas, and there is no better or more appropriate show to talk about than Vegas, all in capital letters, the show. It's on here at Planet Hollywood, and it is a ton of fun. It really celebrates the best of Las Vegas. Variety, singing, dancing, acrobats, magicians, everything is in the show, and Tezz Yancey is here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, congratulations on being you. You look so cool. If I could look like you, it would be a dream. I look like this dork in this silly jacket and the silly shoes. You pull it off brilliantly.
Well, actually, I just complimented the shoes, so I don't know how silly they are. I would wear those.
You would?
I absolutely would.
Oh, I must have a bit of style. There you go. Hey, listen, tell me about this show then. Vegas, the show. I've seen it many times over the years, and the great thing is you can come back night after night. It's always different because there's always new acts.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the great thing about the concept of the show. It's like old Vegas, celebrating old Vegas. And you're right. Anytime someone says they've seen it, I always ask them, when did you see it last? Because they're always adding something new and keeping it fresh, which also keeps it fresh for us, which is nice.
Let's talk about you, where you got started, how you've arrived here in Las Vegas. I mean, for anybody in show business, this must be the Mecca.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm from Boston originally, and so I went to New York first. That's that was always my dream, to go to New York, and I worked there. And great thing about this business, I always say, it keeps you on your toes as a dancer, no pun intended, So I actually went to New York and booked a show that was touring, and ended up coming out, stopping in Vegas for a while, and I got here and said, wow, I like Vegas, there's a lot of work here. And so I just ended up here just by doing what I do, like a lot of artists do.
You're one of those people that sticks out and you catch the eye. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? And I was just saying earlier, I mean, we're sat here at the moment in Stripper 101, which is this class that teaches stripping. And Pony said very graciously that anybody can do it. I disagree. A lot of people can't do it, and they shouldn't do it, and shouldn't even consider doing it. It's a bit like dance, singing, anything. If you've got the gift, you're always going to stick out. Did you always know that you were destined to make a career of it, not just a hobby?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I don't know. I have a lot of performer friends who, found out later or whatever. But I just happened to. I started out in a brother-sister act with my sister at 8 years old. So I've always had the bug. It just happened to be something I always knew. As a kid, I didn't think career so much. I just thought I really love what I do. Fortunately, as you get older, you think, oh, okay, you can make money and have, make a living out of this as well as have fun. So I personally always knew.
And what is it you do that made you stick out? Have you ever put your finger on what made you unique? Because let's face it, there's a million dancers out there, aren't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, there are. I recognize that, with a lot of help from teachers and things like that, that I was a versatile artist. I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, different forms of dance. I'm an actor, I'm a musician. So I've literally run the gamut in terms of the things I've been blessed to do as an artist. So for me, my personal strength is my versatility.
And again, when we look at your career and arriving here in Vegas, I'm always fascinated how you view it. As a Brit, for me, if I'm in variety or entertainment, coming to Vegas has got to be the dream. Compared to Broadway or the West End, how does this fit in how excited you are to be here?
Well, it's one of the, any place called the entertainment capital of the world has to be pretty cool if you're an entertainer, I've actually been fortunate to work on Broadway and in the West End and different places and stuff. So the great thing about this profession is you do get to travel. I've been overseas many times and things like that. So they're all different in terms of, I guess, their reputations and things like that. But for me, it's all art. It's all, the love of it, whether you're, on Broadway or whether you're in a little rinky-dink bar playing with a band. You know what I mean? So.
Exactly, and if you love it, it's going to come across to the audience. Your work on Broadway and in New York, tell us about that and what you did and how successful you were at it.
Well, first of all, success for me is doing it, and enjoying it. But I've been fortunate enough I've done lots of different shows. Five Guys Named Mo. I actually did Starlight Express, the tour of that. Did a play in New York called Sueños, which is Spanish for dreams. My first tour actually was with a band that went to 15 cities in China, Hong Kong, Japan, and that was I was actually in college. That was the summer of between my freshman year and sophomore year. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to see the world and do it, see it by doing what I love to do.
And again, it's interesting. I mean, when you look at Five Guys or when you look at Starlight, they're both sung through shows where you can't fake it. What I love about Broadway is if you're trying to pretend, you're going to be caught out very quickly. I'm always curious about that feeling when the pin focus hits you and it's all about you and you've got to nail it. Is there anything more thrilling to be stood on a stage and having hundreds, if not thousands, staring at you and you've got to deliver? Is that what you live for?
Well, honestly, a lot of people, I think, live for that moment because the idea of being the center of attention, and that's a very ego-driven thing. For me, of course I love that moment, but for me, I love it because of what it takes to get there. For me, it's all about the preparation. I put, the work I put in, the training I put in, and I say in the present tense because I continue to, is what makes that moment thrilling for me. And of course the applause and the appreciation heightens it even more. So for me it's more than just, I'm center stage with a spotlight on me. It's like I've worked to get here, I continue to work to be prepared to be here. So that's more thrilling for me than anything.
And then here we are in Vegas, a community that is so large. I don't think there's a place with more entertainers within 1 square mile, let's face it. How do you fit into that? How fun is it to be around people who are brilliant at what they do?
Well, it's sort of like, I'm from the East Coast, so it's like having family close by, is what it feels like in a lot of ways. It really, performers and entertainers and other artists, whether they're performing artists or other kinds of artists, really, for me, feel like an extended family. Even if you don't know them well, there's this real connection that you have. You can look at someone you've never met or stood face to face with, and they're a fellow artist, and you just feel like we get each other. We can relate to each other, and there's a support system. So from that perspective, it's great.
And then, of course, this show celebrates people who have dedicated their lives to very specific, unique acts in many cases. I find that inspired that you could put together a 6-minute act that you can tour around the world for your entire life, and people like that are in this show. Do you marvel at that? Because it takes a certain discipline, doesn't it, just to master your art and keep churning it out as well as you did the first time, the second time, the millionth time.
Absolutely. I do marvel at it. I think... like you mentioned, it certainly takes a discipline to do that. And for me personally, the love of it, that's what fuels it. If you don't love what you're doing, whatever it is, why do it? That's just my personal feeling about it. So, but I absolutely marvel at it, how you keep it fresh. And, I think audiences, I certainly hear that a lot after the show during meet and greet. People, they love the show and they say, how do you look like you're having a good time. I said, that's because I am. So
right, and if you're not going to have a good time here, there's no point doing it. It doesn't get any bigger, does it, in terms of what you do?
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I think a lot of times we're conditioned at an early age, make a living, you got to kind of get into the grind mentality, and I think that can sometimes backfire because you think you have to work hard, and it's hard and strenuous, and it doesn't necessarily have to be.
And again, to be in this town of so many talented people, is it humbling in one respect that you can be replaced at any point, therefore you've got to keep at the top of your game, and B, the fact that you're surrounded by all these people you can learn from and you work with?
It's definitely humbling to be around, work with so many incredibly talented people. My feeling about the whole replacement thing is, that's always the case. I mean, at any time that can happen anywhere. But I don't think of it that way. I mean, I really try to stay, I don't look too far forward or too far behind. I try to stay in the moment and appreciate what I'm doing now, because at the end of the day, you can replace the person, but there's only one Tezz, or there's only one Alex, or there's, you know what I mean? So from that perspective, we're irreplaceable in that sense.
And I love the fact that you're so brave to stand there every night and do it. There's a certain mentality you've got to have to walk out with confidence, because that's what it's about, isn't it? And even when you walk in a room, you've got a look about you. Did that happen by accident, or do you have to work hard at that? I mean, is this a front, or is this a reality?
No, that saying, live in the dream. People say, I'm living the dream. I always say I'm living the reality, because I really don't want to live a dream. I want to live in the reality. And in terms of the confidence thing, that a lot of the credit goes to the people that supported me, my family early on, teachers. That goes a long way. When you're an artist coming up, people encouraging you as well as giving you a push when need be, and understanding that balance is crucial, in my opinion, to how you go forward. When you hear enough times, you can do this, when other people believe in you, when maybe you're doubting you. There are times when that happens, even to this day. that's important to have those kinds of people. And then the other part of it certainly is having confidence in yourself. And for me, it comes from, a much higher source. For me, so I walk with that, knowing that, my back is gotten, so to speak.
And on those days when you're tired, I mean, you're doing an enormous amount of shows a week, more than anybody ever would on Broadway or in the West End, albeit these are slightly shorter shows. Where do you pull that energy from then? What is that spirituality that gets you back on stage?
Well, I remember I had a great director say one time, bring your day with you. There's some people, it's different philosophies. Some people come from the school of like, we're going on stage or on a set or whatever it is you're doing, and you sort of drop everything and you go into your training mode. And some people believe take with you what you have and use that. That's the great thing about art, is that you can use it. Some days you are more tired, and obviously you don't want to show that, but you can certainly sort of draw from that in terms as an actor. Because the reality is there are days when you're going to be tired, when you're doing 8 or 10 or 12 shows a week. It's just inevitable. We aren't machines, but you draw from the training, and you draw from the love, and sort of, I think, embracing that. Okay, I'm tired, I'm going to dig a little deeper. You embrace it as opposed to ignoring it or trying to pretend it's not there.
And of course, you're a very good-looking man and incredibly thin as well, and you're in a town where there's a buffet on every corner. How do you avoid the spice buffet where you could put on 1,000 pounds within a week and a half?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Clean living. It's just like, when I first came to Vegas, I said to my mom, "Hey, Mom, I got a job that took me out to Vegas." She said, "Vegas? Don't gamble." And I actually had never had a desire to. I've never gambled since I've been in Vegas. So, it's the same thing with me. I just there's a certain discipline that it takes as a performer. For me, some people can do other things, and that works for them. But for me, I needed to, live clean and take care of myself and do all the right things in terms of that discipline. So that makes it easy, because I think if I eat that, I'm gonna have a hard time on stage tonight. You know what I mean? So that helps.
And it is a tough town. Even since I've been here, I'm at about 60% with my voice. There's something about this air that is tough for performers. And I'm not talking all day. I'm just meeting you as a one-off. There's a great pressure there. I don't know how Celine and Rod and these people do it, knowing that the air is so dry, it's so hot outside, and you've still got to nail it.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. As a singer, when I first started working in this town, I did have some issues. It was tough because let's face it, we're in the middle of a desert, and it's dry air. But fortunately, I adjusted, and that's, thank God that happened, because obviously you would have a tough time trying to be a singer in a town where you can't sing. So yeah, there's certainly some disadvantages just by virtue of it being a desert, but I've gotten past it.
Congratulations on being you. It's always nice to meet people who love what they do and know why they do it and don't get carried away with the nonsense of it. Because let's face it, in this town, you could be out every night at an opening or a closing, as many of the cases may be. It's a brutal town in that way. I was saying to somebody the other day, I think something like 90% of shows shut within 6 months. The great thing about Vegas, the show, is it's been here for years and will be, because it is the backbone of what this town's about, variety.
Well, you said it, you spot on. For me, being a part of a show like this specifically is with the school I come from. I come from the school of, before I ever did Vegas the show, I was a huge Sammy Davis Jr. fan, a Gregory Hines fan, Michael Jackson, James Brown, people that strictly use their talents. And so for me, it was, it was and still is very easy to get into that mode, because it's like, this is the school I come from. So, to be a part of a show that celebrates that in the town where they did it is, it's a blessing.
And it never leaves you, does it? When you walk through this town, you think of all the people who have performed and are still doing. It used to be a town where you came here to die. It's a place now where you come to live. You're in a casino where Britney Spears performs. There's never been more buzz about Planet Hollywood, has there?
Absolutely. Exactly. And I think that's interesting. I'm glad you pointed that out, how things sort of come full circle. This was a town at one point where, like you said, you come to die, which is ironic. How do you come to die in the entertainment capital of the world? So it has come full circle to the days when it was alive and buzzing day and night. You had day shows, night shows, and that's what you have now. And I think it's great that Vegas the Show is really paving the way and leading the way in bringing that back.
Tezz, congratulations on being you. If people want to find out a bit more about you, have you got a website?
I do. TezzWorld.com, TezzWorld.com is where you can pretty much find everything about Tezz, hence the name.
Thank you so much for your time. You can find him here at Vegas, the show, performing about 6 times a day, 7 days a week. You're always here. There'll be a show starting sooner or later, won't there?
That's right, 7 o'clock tonight, although I'm taking a break tonight, which is nice. But yeah, the show runs 7 days. There's 7 o'clock and 9 p.m. show. So, you know, and they have different cast members. So it's always a fresh show, which is just great to be part of.
Really great to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.